Hi everyone. Today's video is going to be helping you to build a better relationship with your bandwidth or befriend your bandwidth. If you have done work with me, you're familiar with this concept. If this is the first time you're hearing it, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction into it. We'll spend more time learning what and how and all the things that contribute to our bandwidth down the road. But today, I just want you to think of your bandwidth as your energetic capacity for this moment, this day, the resources you have available that really live and stem from your nervous system, and they reflect how your nervous system is operating in any given moment. You can think of your bandwidth as a capacity, and there's going to be things that fall within your capacity, and there's going to be things that fall outside of your capacity. There's going to be times when your capacity is shrinking or smaller, and there's going to be times when your capacity is growing and larger. Just like the seasons of life, there's so many things that are going to influence this. And I really just want to start with, and today what you're going to walk away with is a deeper understanding of your bandwidth, how you can be more aware of what is my capacity for today and sort of what's influencing that, as well as give you two things to really focus on that are going to help you have a bandwidth that's moving in the direction that you want it to. Generally, we want a bandwidth that allows us to have the energy to do the things we want to do, allows us to feel like ourselves, feel connected, and also to have that extra that I think of as leads to and feeds into resiliency, helps us adapt to the challenges of life. Because I do expect that not everything in life is going to be within your bandwidth. But there is a difference between a bandwidth that's having a hard time adapting to challenges and a bandwidth or a nervous system that's having a more productive time adapting to challenges. So that first piece is really checking in with, and you might start with thinking of, this point in time today in terms of, and compare it to a time in the past or where you'd like to go in terms of that energetic capacity, just to give you some context of, how much do I have going on today? You might check in with your body. Do I feel more tired than usual? That might indicate a lower bandwidth. Or do I feel more irritable or on edge? Like experiences are already tending to be outside of my bandwidth, which, let's backtrack a second. The things that are within our bandwidth, they generally are things that are neutral or pleasant or positive, and things that are outside of our bandwidth, outside of the resources or the capacity for our nervous system to process them in that moment, they tend to feel more challenging, maybe more negative, maybe harder shades of life like loss, transition, change, trauma. The beauty of our bandwidth and our nervous system is it wants to help you to process everything. We'll get to that in more of a bigger picture in another video in the future. But to start with that today, just so you have that context, it's all here for you. Every experience that you face, your body is equipped to move through and to integrate, even the challenging ones. There is a lesson or something here for you, but it takes integrating it to actually move through it. Let's look at our bandwidth for every single day. We've got the flow of your day will also really help indicate whether your bandwidth is going to be having a hard time adapting or having the extra spaciousness to adapt, is really looking at, throughout my day, how do these dots connect? Do I have maybe I have a calm morning and then I've got to get out the door and I really spike up to a challenge. Maybe I then go all the way down to feeling like I'm, someone says something and I kind of shut down. I'm kind of skipping past that optimal zone and going from end to end, really in a sharp fashion. Or I think I have another color here for us. Are my challenges more within this bandwidth? Like, I have a difficult call at work, but I'm able to then come and talk to a friend about it or a loved one. Or maybe I feel really sad and down and hurt, but once again, then I make some time to exercise and it sort of brings me back into that state. So you can see the difference here being this more smooth, adapted flow throughout my day, or is it a sharp swinging from one end to the other and not spending a lot of time in the middle? And ultimately, that that sharp transition is going to lead to a bandwidth that over time feels like it deteriorates or builds on life. And a bandwidth that's more curvy and adaptable is actually going to allow that bandwidth to keep growing. So thinking a little bit about your day of like the things that fit within your bandwidth and where your energy is at throughout your day, what one does yours feel more like? And that is your first thing that you're going to take away, is building some awareness around where you are throughout your days. Number 2 and 3 are going to be things that I want you to focus on that are going to help you move in that direction of that more optimal, adaptable nervous system. So number 2 is pauses. Initiating pauses throughout your day, which a pause can look many different ways, but it's basically a space and time to integrate what challenges we face, what things come up throughout our day. So if you have that rush out the door, what kind of pause can you create? Do you have the ability to take a walk that afternoon? Do you have the ability to take a moment to take a deep breath? Do some of the other practices I've shared with you. Maybe it's yoga at the end of your day. What is that regenerative pause for you? Your care with me, those people that are experiencing nervous system integration, that is a pause that is intentionally also helping you integrate those challenges, the things that are outside that bandwidth. So what are the pauses that you are creating in your day? Because that is going to soften those sort of spikes or jolts in the directions that can be exhaustive to our nervous system. And it's actually going to allow us to live a little bit more within that capacity. And yes, the pause can look many different ways. So I want you to think about maybe ways that I'm already pausing, and think about maybe some ways that I would like to try initiating into my life. And number 3 is this term that I learned from a nervous system healing friend, Sarah Tacey, called regenerative challenge. I've always used this, but I haven't had a word till recently, and I really like it. Regenerative challenge. So regenerative challenges in our life are going to, once again, also help support the growth of the nervous system bandwidth. And we can think of regenerative challenges as discomfort that results in growth. So a regenerative challenge might be something like exercise. A regenerative challenge might be something like being present through parenthood and through the challenging emotions that can be expressed from your kids. A regenerative challenge could be learning something new, learning a language, reading a book where you're learning something, right? Regenerative challenges essentially, they stretch the capacity of the nervous system, but they come in a package that your nervous system has the capacity to then integrate. So we can kind of think of the difference between a regenerative challenge and a living at the edge of your bandwidth and kind of on the trend of exhaustion. The difference there is really attuning to your resources. If we have a sort of shrinking bandwidth, less capacity, and we're still doing this spike, 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 we might get into the habit, because it's familiar, of doing the high intensity workout. And like a testament to that is noticing, how does my body feel after it? Do I feel like that was amazing and I have the time to rest and I fully appreciated everything of that? Or did it feel like really exhausting to my system where I feel totally burnt out? Then I need extra coffee. I'm kind of shutting down later. I don't have the energy to get through my day. That might be a sign that that's not a regenerative challenge. And maybe there's a different form of exercise that I really could have benefited more from that day. Maybe it's as simple as a walk. I know walks are overrated, but they're amazing for our health and our mental health. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's something a little bit more low intensity because of my bandwidth and my situation that day, knowing it's not going to be forever, but I've got to attune to my body's needs to create more coherence within my nervous system, which means I'm going to feel better over time. So thinking and evaluating, what are the challenges in my life? How can I find regenerative challenges? And that can look so many different ways. You don't even have to, for most of us, initiate a new thing. And often it's how we show up throughout our days that can be a regenerative challenge as well. So just giving you permission to know that wherever you are at, these little tools, awareness, creating pauses, and focusing on regenerative challenges are going to help your nervous system to have more of that smooth, adaptable process, which means more expansion into that bandwidth will naturally occur if we live more in alignment with and befriend our bandwidth. So I hope that leaves you with some helpful tips today, and we'll talk more about all that contributes to your nervous system bandwidth in the future. Thank you. Bye.